And good evening and welcome to City Focus. I'm Marty Olsen, your host, and tonight I'm delighted to introduce a brand new guest and a relatively brand new coach into Southeastern Connecticut, Keyokah Mars-Garrick, who is the head girls basketball coach at New London High School, just concluded her initial season, and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You know, I've had a chance to chat with you on the phone a couple of times, but tonight's the first time to get a chance to meet you up close and personal, and welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
And as folks that watch the program know that I do follow the Whalers, and I enjoy getting the coaches on to get their take on what's going on, whether it's directly with the team or athletics in general. There's always things that are changing and the rules, and I like to get the inside track from the folks who are in the know.
Yes.
So welcome aboard. I think it would be appropriate to kind of get a little bit of an insight on who you are, where you came from,
Sure.
and how you got to where you're at right now. I mean, you're semi-local, right?
Semi-local, yes. So
Not New London local, but
not
you're
New London local, which has always been, tough. I've heard a lot about it. But from North Stonington, Connecticut. Grew up there, went to Wheeler High School, and kind of have just moved around in that area, coaching more recently. Played, obviously, at the University of Hartford, like we had discussed earlier. And played for Jen Rosati there. So had an awesome time and an awesome experience in my college career.
Yeah, well, from what I recall was when Rosati took the program over at Hartford, it was rather moribund, and she kind of whipped it into shape and made it highly competitive within the league.
She did, yes. Then Hartford kind of was dominant in the America East for years to come, and that was a big attraction to me wanting to go there. I think the year before I came in as a freshman, they won the America East. While I was there, we won it twice, had an undefeated season, so really competitive program, which I was proud to be a part of.
Yeah, and at that time, Hartford and America East were a D1 program.
Yes, we were, yep, and played all up and down the East Coast, all the way up to Maine, down to UMBC, Baltimore, traveled a lot, but our main part of our conference was, along the coast. Yep.
Yeah, I had mentioned to you before we came on the air, I've been to a couple of the games there, but one in particular that stands out was when the Yukon Huskies visited the University of Hartford.
Yes,
and filled up the arena there for women's basketball. That was pretty big deal for the lady. It's the Hawks, aren't they?
Yes, the Hawks. Yeah, and it was a great experience, and I think that's one of my most fond memories is when we were able to pack Reach Family Pavilion because it's got such an amazing atmosphere. So it was always fun to be able to play in big games like that.
Yeah. One thing I don't think I mentioned to you before, but and I don't know if he still does it, but the gentleman who was doing the public address at the Hartford men's and women's game, Lance Reiser, is a classmate of mine. I've known him since kindergarten.
Oh, wow.
In New London.
Yes, you know a lot of people.
So I've known him, and he also does Yukon ice hockey.
Oh, wow. Yep, that's great.
So, and that's just a part-time gig for him. So
Sure. Getting around all the sports, I get it.
Yeah. So it's kind of fun. I never thought that he would do that, but apparently he's got the voice.
Right.
Yeah. And he came down once. He lives up in West Hartford, and he came down and did a program when we were over in the Waterford.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Now, have you been coaching consistently since you got out of college? I mean, you've got a graduate degree or degrees.
I do, yes. So coaching has always just been a joy of mine. I did my senior project on it, if you will. So from a young age, I knew I just wanted to go right into coaching. So I coached through college, AAU, for a long time. And after that, I graduate and I'm thinking, what am I going to get into next? And I was fortunate enough to get a job at the Coast Guard Academy as an assistant. And that's really kind of what set it in for me, is like, this is what I want to do for my career. So I coached at the college level for 5 years.
all at Coast Guard?
Nope, I did 2 years at Coast Guard. I had left there. I wanted to kind of see what other experiences I could get myself into. I went back to Hartford to be a grad assistant for 2 years. That's where I got one of my post-grad degrees. And then I went to Trinity College for a year.
Oh, okay.
So I was kind of bouncing around a bit, trying to find home, and that's when I kind of realized, do I want to travel? College coaching is a lot of on the road, a lot of recruiting, and you travel so much further than you do in high school. And so I had come back local. I went back home to North Stonington, and that's when I had my son. So of course, I don't know if you have children, but they tend to slow you down a bit. And
they do take a little time.
yeah, just a little bit. And he kind of put me from fifth gear to first and made me reevaluate. And what I had learned was I wanted to be home, and I wanted to come home every night if I could. So our boys' high school team at Wheeler, where my brother and I went to high school, they needed an assistant coach last minute. So the athletic director at the time had asked me to join their staff, and I was thrilled to. I'd never coached boys before.
I was just going to ask whether you're coaching boys or girls.
Yeah, I was coaching boys, and it was the most fun I'd had in a really long time. It kind of brought the joy back. In between leaving Trinity and coming to Wheeler, I had taken a couple seasons off, so I wasn't sure where coaching was going to go for me. And when I had come back to Wheeler, it like lit the fire in me again. So I was at Wheeler for 2 years, with Neil Cobley at the time. And then Paula Solar asked me to come and coach at Stonington with her the
She
past
had a
2
tremendous
seasons.
amount of success.
Yes, she has. And then an incredibly successful season this past season. So all incredible experiences, and had taught me a lot, and taught me how to build and how to get my own program off the ground, if you will. And New London opened, and then that's where I had my first opportunity to head coach. I was very grateful.
So you concluded your first season as the head coach.
Yes.
And you've had a pretty interesting coaching trial as an assistant. I had mentioned that another local, Tyson Wheeler, is at Brown, and he had also been at Fairfield and UMass.
Yes.
And he's trying to crack the, I think, the head coaching position as well. And I think if he's ever given an opportunity, that he'll do a fine job. I know from observation that when he was just, I hate to put it in these terms, but an assistant coach, how he conducted himself. Now he's the assistant head coach.
Yes.
He's a bit more forceful.
Yes. Right.
That title means a little bit. It's got
Carries a little weight.
It does.
Yes.
And they've done, I think, a nice job. He and the gentleman he's working for is an alum of Brown. And,
Okay.
I enjoy watching the Ivy League athletics in general.
Yes.
And they've improved tremendously. I think most across the board, their football programs, their basketball programs. And
Sure.
I enjoy going down to Yale as well and
Yeah.
catching what they're doing. But high school is different. I mean, you've got to. What is your observation in New London in particular, but for women's high school or girls' basketball in the region? Are the kids playing basketball when they're young? Are they going to camps and learning the fundamentals and honing their skills so that when they get into programs that they're getting close to ready to play? Or are you having to grab them by the ear out of class and say, we need players?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think right now what I am noticing is I went to our middle school girls tryouts at Benny Dover, and when I tell you that gym was overflowing with young women, it was so awesome to see. So there's something happening between middle school and high school where once they get to high school, I don't know if it's lack of interest. I don't know if it's they don't feel like they're prepared enough, but our numbers were hard to come by this year. I mean, we had like a solid 10, I want to say, and anything more than that was really like wanting to be a part of a team. But getting girls to come out that are able to be impactful for our program and ready to play at the high school level has been tough. for New London over the past couple of years. So we continue to face that this year. And I have this conversation a lot with a lot of my friends, like, is it volleyball? Is it other sports? Is it, soccer that they're playing, or that's taking their focus away from basketball? And I can't really figure it out. Besides the fact that basketball's a physical sport, it's a lot of running, and maybe that's got some girls disinterested, but I have had the experience of, noticing some tall girls aren't playing just basketball. So if they get taken up by that volleyball bug, it's kind of hard to get them into the court and play something
volleyball
different.
competes.
Yes, they do. And of course, because anything now can be year-round, right? So AAU, like we had mentioned earlier, can take away some of those spring sports. It's the same we're now seeing for basketball, is that if they continue to play volleyball, it takes them through that winter season. So that's been tough, but I kind of just try and make it enjoyable still. Like, it's a different sport than anything else. It's fun to play, competitive, enjoyable to be around the group for that amount of time. Get you through winter, in my opinion. So, gotta give it a try.
Well, at what point in your life did you pick up basketball? I mean, were you a young girl, or did you pick it up in high school or junior high? Or
So, very young. My father had us playing rec league. Me and my two older brothers are 3 years older than I am, and we had to start playing at 7. And I would come from a basketball family. So my dad played, his younger brother, my uncle played, went to the NBA and played for a few years. So that was our main focus. My uncle Tommy Garrick played at URI. So I grew up a Ram and just constantly going to basketball games. That's like all we did as a family. That was our family outings. So when it came to us playing, because that was where my father's love was, that was what we had to love. We didn't have much
There was
of a
not
choice.
any undue pressure.
Right. So I started playing really young and just fell in love with it and wanted to play more. And that's when my mom had come in, and I played for Connecticut Storm for my whole AAU career. Larry Miller had recruited me out of Wheeler, and one of the best things to happen to me, because I knew I wanted to go to college and play basketball. I knew it was what I wanted to do at the next level. It wasn't just busy time for me or anything like that.
Well, between high school and the next level,
Yes.
how did you deal with combining your athletics and academics and achieving both?
Yeah, that's probably my favorite part. I'm a bookworm at heart, and I want to excel and achieve in the classroom, and I think that was embedded in me at a really young age. And I had a brother who school wasn't necessarily his thing all the time, and I felt young. I wanted to have a different experience. So that was really just a personal choice that both meant just as much to me. And I'll never forget, as a kid, that was always my parents' expectation. It was high school and then college. There was no conversation that there was a different option. So that's what I did and what I continued to do. So a lot of people had this kind of misconception that Division I athletes took less classes and had a lesser academic load, and that wasn't the case at Hartford. We were full-time students just as much as we were full-time athletes. We did have the ability to kind of structure our schedule around our practice times and our lift times so that we could be at both. But it's a commitment that you have to make individually in order to kind of make yourself fully available for both.
Now, at Hartford, did they provide academic support? I mean, some of the big-time schools, I think that that's kind of expected. That,
Right, or that you travel with someone. And honestly, our team didn't require it. We didn't have any athletes that struggled with academics to a point where they were going to fail off or not be eligible to play. So we didn't need to travel with an academic advisor, but if you needed support, it was much the same like Student Service Center. We could always go for things like that. But I just remember a lot of our tutoring and extra level of support came from our teammates. So if you were in the same major as somebody else, like that was your best friend, because a lot of my older teammates that were also business majors got me through a lot of those classes. So I'll never forget that. Mary Sylvia constantly was helping me get through my business courses and how to complete my homework to the best of my ability, and I relied on her a lot. So.
Yeah, well, one thing that's challenging for young people in general, but and if you're able to time manage,
Yes.
it makes things a heck of a lot, I won't say easier per se, but if you get out of class and you say, well, gee, I don't have another class until 8 tomorrow, but you've got book to read, you've got
Right.
math problems, you've got this and that and the other thing. You go in there and take care of that stuff when it's fresh.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
And don't wait till the next morning
Right.
and try to do it on the fly.
Right, right. And if nothing else, college definitely taught me that prioritization. And of course, college for everybody, it's so much more freedom than even high school was. And now you don't have a parent telling you what you need to do every step of the way. You have your coaches, but that's about it. So you have to make that decision, what's important to you. And when you have so much going on, it does give you those pockets of time where you start to learn, okay, I need to finish this before that because I know I'm going to be on a bus for 5 hours, or are you going to work the whole way there so you have nothing to do after your game? So a lot of those things are really important that I think kids kind of take for granted or forget about, but all of it is preparing you for the bigger picture, for sure.
Now, you see you had about 10 kids. Do you feel that it's, and you're only in your first year,
Sure.
so you don't have a whole class yet that's passed through yet,
Sure.
where your upperclassmen, juniors and seniors in particular, that you have a duty or responsibility to try to get them focused on post-high school if they're going to play? And maybe where, or do you have connections at some of the places you've been where maybe you might think that one of your students or players might be a good fit at
Absolutely.
Trinity, or
Right.
or perhaps the Coast Guard if they've got they're interested in the military. I mean, that's a tough place to recruit, I would think.
Yes, yeah. And it's definitely, what I learned at Coast Guard is it's its own little niche. So you do have your athletes who know that they want to go in the service. And that was always fun to find those kids because they're so excited about it. So that does do half of your recruiting for you. The other half at Coast Guard was encouraging a kid to even be open-minded to a military experience if they had never thought of that before. So getting my older guys and in placing them after high school, it is important to me just because if you play for me for one season or if you get to play for me for 4, the academic part in the life after the sport is probably more important to me than the season that we just spent together. Like, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? And I think that I took that for granted as a young athlete, where so much of my life was just basketball, and that's what I wanted and how I came up in the sport, not really realizing that that was coming to an end for me. I wasn't going to play professionally, and what did I want to do next? And I think we always think that decision is further off than it actually is. So even now, just talking to my kids in between practice times, in between games, understanding what they want to do after high school, and then making those connections, if I'm able, with the coaches that I do still know. So a former teammate of mine is the head coach at Hartford. An alumni of mine is an assistant coach at Central. So if I have a player that fits their style of play and their program, and I absolutely will reach out and try and make those connections happen, because it's important for my girls to feel like they're somewhere where they're wanted, where they're somewhere where they can succeed. And if it's not somewhere I know someone, I reach out or talk to those coaches. Or
Do you have any connections with the local colleges? I mean, Mitchell or Conn College, UConn, Avery Point. I mean, we've got 3 D3 schools and in essence a JUCO.
yes, right. And it's interesting that you say that about the level. I think that is more the harder part in placing an athlete right now, is the division does kind of get in the way. So if I'm talking to a kid who wants to play Division I or wants to play Division II, will they entertain a Division I school conversation? And sometimes that's tough, where kids don't want to have that conversation right away because they want to play somewhere else. So do I have personal relationships with those schools? Not currently. But if I did feel one of my kids would benefit from being local or playing at one of those institutions, I just reach out. I think that's the best part about being in New London, is once you say where you're coaching, then you're no longer a stranger. Then everyone knows, okay, I know what school you're talking about, and then they have a feel of what our athletes bring to the table. So
Well,
that's the great part.
observation that Mitchell and Connecticut College, the women's programs, both have had a relatively high turnover with your coaches.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not sure if it's better opportunities, but I'm assuming as such.
Yes.
But not every kid who plays is going to be a D1 player.
Yes, yes.
And at some point, they're going to figure this out. And I went to Mitchell. I went to Con. I go to their games. My eldest cousin was a superintendent at the academy. So
Okay.
I've got feelers in all the schools.
Yeah.
And I enjoy watching them play, especially when they're playing each other. But I think sometimes our local kids don't think highly of the quality of the play out of those schools.
Sure.
And they're sorely misguided on that. I mean, these
I agree.
players are terrific.
Yes. And competitive.
Highly.
Yes.
I mean, I'm more well versed with the men than I am the women, in all honesty. But
Sure.
just I've been to some women's games, and it's there as well.
Yes.
Where some of our kids who are playing can play a good sandlot game. They're not
Right.
playing for these guys.
Right, right. And that's the part. So my teammate who I was explaining is now at Hartford has been at Con the last 5 years. So I've gone to a bunch of their games in support of her, and I think that was something that I hope to do next season. We couldn't make it happen with how much snow we had this winter in our tight game schedule, but getting my girls to local games, because I think seeing that is important, right? I think you hear a lot of the schools that we have locally, and they might have their own perceived understanding of the program, but until you see it yourself, until you're in the gym and you see what you could play in front of, I think it's a different experience.
Yeah. I mean, Coast Guard and Connecticut College, they're in different conferences, but they're both
Yes.
in exceptionally competitive conferences.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
a few years ago, and this is the men, but Amherst was a national champion with the men.
Right.
Babson, which is in Coast Guard's conference,
Yep.
was a national champ. Trinity's had a terrific program.
Yes. Yes.
A couple of years ago, Wesleyan was ranked #1 for a period of time. So,
Yep. So competitive.
and they're all academic giants as well.
Yes, yes, right. So it's a win-win. So I often tell my girls, it's not just about the Division III title. It's what are you getting out of it? You're still able to play at the next level. You're able to get a fantastic education. So kind of tying those two things together, and again, playing that long game with my kids. What do you want to do after? I'm trying to increase understanding.
Yeah, I mean, if you do a survey of the kids on the team, I mean, who go to the next level? I mean, you've done something that most kids don't do.
Yes.
You play college basketball.
Right.
Whatever level it is.
Right, right.
Period.
Yes, yeah, you're still playing. That's the goal, that's the point. So I agree.
And if I'm not mistaken, one of your assistants is a Hartford alum.
Yes, Jada Lucas also played at
She was
Hartford.
terrific at New London.
Yes.
And she didn't play much her early part of her career up at Hartford. But her
Yeah.
senior year, there was a coach that she got a chance to play. I saw her play against, I think it was Stony Brook,
Okay.
India Pagan, who was a
Yes.
New London alum, who was with Stony Brook, but she was hurt and didn't play that game.
Oh, they miss playing against each other. Yeah.
But Jada was a lot of fun to watch, and that particular game, she had a heck of a game.
Yes, incredibly athletic. I actually had the opportunity to coach Jada when she was younger in Connecticut Storm. So it's been a full circle experience for her and I, knowing her so young, her also going to Hartford, and then having the opportunity to still come back and coach with me at New London. I was so grateful. And she would play with our girls a lot. And I absolutely loved it because she's still just as good. She's still just as impactful. So when it came to preparing for some of the teams in our conference, and she'd get out there and run with the girls, I'm like, guys, play defense. Like, come on, get up there. But she's incredible. Yes.
Well, again, here's a young lady who's come home.
Yes, right. And that's very important. Yeah, and she was pivotal in explaining to them, this isn't just about basketball. This is about life. And hearing that from her, a New London great, a New London GOAT herself, just spoke leaps and bounds to what I was trying to bring to the program. So it was amazing.
And as good as India Pagan was and is, I was at a game in London that Shea Ralph was recruiting and looking at her. I mean, obviously she didn't go to Connecticut, but
Right.
Even just the fact that they sent one of their coaches down to give her the eye, see
I
what's
agree.
going on. I mean, and she's done marvelous. I mean, playing for the Puerto Rican Olympic squad. I mean,
Yep.
And done very well at the collegiate level as well.
Yes, yeah, incredible career she's had.
But again, out of all the kids that come through,
Yes, right, right. So it's almost
how
like,
many are in the NBA?
right, yes. So that's the hard part, Marty, is explaining the percentage of a jump that is, and a gap, and it dwindles the older you get. So it's much to what I was saying with like the middle school numbers. When you have 30 girls try out, and then high school you have 12, I need the drop off there to be less, but it's going to be less high school to college. And that's just realistic reality of the sport, how it happens and how it falls. But you're absolutely right. Not everyone is going to have the opportunity to play Division I or for their national team or what have you. So, blessing either way. But
And it's an important consideration. I mean, and again, what school the young men and women decide to attend. If they're going to a school and they're going to play ball, if they're good enough to make the team.
yes,
But they may not be, in the primary rotation. They may be
correct.
one or two down.
Yes, yeah,
And how much of an impact does that have? Are you content to be that person
right.
and then go to class and
Right.
become an engineer or a scientist or a musician or whatever you're going to do?
Right, right. Yeah, and it's humbling, right? I think especially from this area, I got asked this question recently. What is it like coming from such a small school as Wheeler was? And you're in such a different pool athletically because you have less kids around you. And sometimes that can mean less competition, not all the time. But absolutely, when you're going to that next level, so when I went to Hartford, I'll never forget, that was a big difference for me. So being the best in such a small pool is very different than being hand-selected among the best and then performing from there. So that was my first experience. My first 2 years of college was 8th, 9th, 10th guy on the bench. What are you going to do about it? And it really forces you to attack practice differently, show up every day differently. You can't just be a quitter, because where's that going to get you? So it wasn't an easy road for me, but come my junior and senior year when I was starting and able to contribute in a bigger way, it changes you. It changes you as a person.
And I think sometimes, and when you're a teenager, I mean, you're teenagers are teenagers.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not all there yet.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yes.
I mean, that when you are going to college, whether it's Mitchell College or UConn or
Sure.
Ohio State, every person on the team has been a captain,
Yes.
or all-state,
Yes.
all-American,
Right.
all something.
Yes.
There's no 12th player on the high school team playing college sports.
Right. Right.
It's just not good enough.
Yep. So I think that there is space for everyone at a certain level. And as you continue to grow, you have to get better at your craft. You have to improve your skill. And I think that that's the one thing that kids have a really hard time discerning is when I'm on my high school team, how many minutes should I expect and how many minutes am I really going to get? And I think that that's where it comes in, where it's hard for some parents to accept the role that their child may be given in high school. So there's a lot of thought for room for opinion. People think that you want to hear their opinion. So that's tough, I think, in a high school coaching role. But when you get to the next level of college, it's so much more evident that it's often like when people critique NBA or WNBA players, and then they don't realize just how exceptional they are. Or when we all sit on our couch and critique the Olympics. And just how much hours and work they put in. So it kind of reminds me of that. Like, you just have no idea how hard this is. So.
And that's something that the young folks have got to weigh.
Yes.
And I don't want to be, and I wouldn't want to be negative with the young folks. You want to push them to go for the brass ring, as they say.
Sure.
But I think having a walking that fine line of the brass ring versus what may be reality.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, we had a local young fella who played for New London. Was a terrific athlete, good football player, good basketball player, and went away out of the area for his freshman year, and was unable to play the next year due to financial. He just couldn't afford it. And that's one thing too at the D3 level, is that there's no scholarships.
Correct. Yeah.
And Mike DeMauro from the day kind of took up the young man's battle and was lobbying to get him into Con to play. So, he'd be a great fit at Con.
Yep.
And over the course of time and a lot of machinations, he got into Con, he got on the team, and he wasn't getting the playing time he was anticipating at Con.
Yep.
And when he came in, I think as a junior, the senior year, I think at some point during the season he had enough.
Yes.
Which was disappointing. I wish he had stuck it out, but he did what he had to do.
Right.
But the point is that there are good players there.
Yes.
This kid was not a slouch.
Right. Right. So you're surrounded more by the best.
And it's daunting.
Yes.
And the rule changes. I mean, at the high school level, I've got you beat by a day or two.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, in those days, you lived in your community. You'd go to your local school.
Yes.
You live in New London, you go to New London High School. You live in Waterford, you go to Waterford High School. You go to Stonington, you go to Wheeler. In those days, you really didn't have a football team, and you didn't do those consolidated teams or whatever they. I mean, you were out of luck if you wanted to play some sports.
Correct. Yeah. Just to have
But now, player and student movement has changed radically.
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely. I think that that's the toughest part to try and plan for right now. A lot of people ask or want to anticipate the team you will have next year. And I think in my coaching career, that it's been so young, if you will, I'm used to that movement at this point, not as a player, but from a coaching lens. And I literally have the perspective. I cannot count on, anticipate my team until they walk through the gym for the first day of practice, because there is so much movement. There is so much, a kid that should be coming to your school goes to a local school, goes to this school, goes to a tech school. Do what you have to do for your future and your career, but the movement is more than just tech school, like we were saying, or going to a religious institution for your belief. It's like open. They go almost anywhere now. So that's really hard. But again, I think that that's the important thing for me, is getting myself out there and letting people know what type of coach I am, so that they know who they're going to play for. And I think that that's also an important decision that you have to make. Like, if basketball is something that you're serious about and want to play at the high school level, who do you want to play for? And I think that that's much like college and the transfer portal. It's what kids have the opportunity to make that decision now, whereas before, you didn't. You knew who you were playing for. We were saying Coach Parker had been at New London 30 some odd years. If you were a boy in New London, you knew that's who you were going to play for. There was no doubt about it. So now that onus is kind of put back on the athlete a little bit. And I think that that's also cool for them. But do your own research and make sure it's the right decision.
But in terms of a program achieving success,
sure,
you need players.
Of course, of course.
I mean, you can't just pick 5 kids off the out of the algebra class and say, become basketball players.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Absolutely.
Or out of the science class. But I mean, not that they have to be gym rats, but they have to, New London lost one of its best players. May have been their best player, the Lancaster girl, 3 years ago.
Yes.
I mean, she was terrific, and then she opted to go for the prep route.
Yes.
And for the New London program, that was a pretty big dig.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it hurts. It changes the trajectory of your program. Of course it does. I think the hard thing for me is it's got to be a personal decision. How can I comment on what a kid feels like is best for them, and if they feel like going prep is what it takes. From a kid who played Division I and being recruited from Wheeler High School, I don't think it's always necessary to have to go prep or have to change your schools or have to do a lot of movement. Coaches are going to find you if you're good enough and make that amount of noise.
Were you recruited by any other schools?
I was. My mom gets upset with me on this one because I don't hardly remember. But we were talking about this the other day. I did a bunch of trips, Boston University, Northeastern, Sacred Heart, URI, a lot of schools. For me, being from a small town and very family oriented, it was hard for me to go away. It was hard for me to go to a city. I'm a country girl at heart. So in my recruiting process, which was very overwhelming, trying to figure out that next step in general, never mind where you want to play basketball.
Northeastern, I spent a couple of years at Northeastern many years ago. Didn't finish there, but right now their women's programs, they've got a lot of, not just basketball, but a lot of their women's athletics are very, very highly competitive at a national level.
Right. So I knew it was what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to play at the next level. That was my one goal since middle school. I was fortunate. I was fortunate enough to, one, be good enough, like we've talked about, and setting that goal and being able to do it. So.
Well, one thing, you had one of the Dudley girls on your team.
I did, yes.
Now, is she a senior?
She was a senior this
year.
year.
For 1 year. Because when she was a freshman, and her sister, who was at, at Sacred Heart, I think.
Yes.
They were on a state title team.
Yes.
And the young lady who played for you, actually in that title game, I think she outperformed her older sister. She was really cool, calm, and collected.
Yes.
I think her sister might have felt a little bit of a pressure of a big game, and she was kind of the leader of the squad.
Yes.
And her sister, as a freshman, didn't have that level of pressure. That was on her sister.
You're right. So she could play loose and play.
And she seemed to take the shot when she was supposed to, made the right pass.
Yeah.
She was good.
Yep. Yes, I had Nyara this year and only got her for 1 year. And unfortunately, she tore her ACL at the end of our season in our last state game. So she's healing right now. So thinking of her and hoping for a speedy recovery.
Is she planning to continue her basketball at the next level?
She is. She was hoping, obviously, to go right away, but with an injury like an ACL, of course, we all know it takes a year to rehab. So I think that she's still kind of back on to the drawing board right now and trying to stay a little bit more local than she had intended initially, just to get through her rehabilitation process. But she absolutely wants to keep playing.
Well, that's good. I mean, but there's a young lady who's highly skilled. She was fun to watch too. Just for me as a casual fan. I mean, I'm not a basketball player. I'm a basketball fan.
Yes.
I'm more of a football guy.
Sure.
I may not look like it these days, but once upon a time. But things have changed. Now, has the name, image, likeness impacted what's happening at the high school level? It's certainly impacting college athletics.
Yes, as far as NIL deals and money, I can't say it's impacting where I am at currently or schools in this area. It's just not to that extent yet. Maybe there will come a day, I hope not, anytime soon. But NIL money and name deals and likeness is such a college issue that I'm grateful that we don't have to deal with yet.
Yeah, because I mean, it's certainly had an impact in terms of player movement and the portals.
Absolutely.
I mean, and one of the things that I think that you've got a terrific benefit is that you're a young woman, you're a hard charger, you know where you want to go.
Yes.
But you're starting and the rules are as they are.
Yes.
So it's not like you're my age and things have changed. It's like, I don't want to deal with this.
Right. Right.
You have it.
Yeah.
I don't want this portal stuff. I don't want
Right.
NIL.
Yes.
I want the kid down the street I've been watching him for years.
Right, right. And that's been different and new for me. And I think that I'm grateful in a time I'm coming up in coaching and in teaching right now where there seems to be an even bigger shift happening that I am grateful that I'm on the front end of. And there's nothing I enjoy more than coaching outside of spending time with my son and my family. And when I'm on that court, it's a feeling of like overwhelming gratefulness that I get to do this, no matter who you get. And I think that that's the difference right now is maybe I won't watch a kid from the time they're 8 to 14 playing for me, and then they'll definitely go to New London. But I can try and create those relationships, and I can try and create an environment that those young kids want to play for. And I think that that's just as impactful. Knowing what program they're going to feed into, knowing what legacy they're going to try and leave behind. So I try and come at it from that perspective. Like, we had a really successful year one. Now how can I build off of that, and letting them know that it's something that they can also be a part of.
And that's important.
Yeah.
Now, we're getting to the back end of the program, but I'm going to ask you a question maybe I should have opened with. But I mean, as a new coach in a community that's got a tradition of pretty high degree of athletic success. Yes. Especially in basketball. How do you walk in and you're not a local person? And get the attention of the young women who are going to be on the team. Yep. Get them to buy into what you're trying to do. Correct. And keep their parents engaged, but not overly engaged.
Yeah, all really great questions. And in my first year, I hope I balanced it well. And I'll say I started with relationships. So obviously, like I said, I'm in my 5th year of teaching after coaching for 5 years. And if you don't have a relationship with a young person, you're not going to get very far. So it's treating them like human beings, constantly coming in and engaging with them as a young person, what they're into, what they like, and how you can get them to see what you see. So kids need our direction, right? It's almost like that old age conversation, like kids want to be disciplined. And it's all about how you come at that. So setting realistic expectations, holding them accountable, giving them something to strive for, I feel like really helped me at New London. And I'm stubborn, not afraid of much, and just coming in, and I know that I know basketball, and it's a huge passion of mine, and I know that I'm prepared. So I wouldn't have signed up for such a big role if I didn't feel I was ready for it. And then coming with that level of confidence, I think also kind of shows your team too, like, okay, maybe she's not from New London, but she knows what she's talking about. So let's see where she takes us. And that was kind of step one. And then it was just every day from there on out, just consistently showing up for my team. And I had fantastic parents. I had really supportive parents. I think when you come in and you invest in their daughters and you really care about them as individuals, then parents trust you. And that was my biggest focus. That, again, of course, their futures after high school, but also like their day-to-day stuff too. How's your brother? How's your mom?
Now, you're not in New London High School.
I'm not.
Are any of your assistants working at New London High School?
One of them, yes. So Jada was working there before and isn't any longer. And then Coach Legree is in the building as a paraeducator. Yes. Okay. I
mean, we were discussing briefly before we came on the air. I mean, once upon a time, it was required that the coaches at any sport had to be a teacher in that school.
Right.
I think that's been lightened up because they can't get coaches.
Correct. Yeah, it's tough. And you want to be able to have coaches that are competitive for that sport, right? So if you don't have someone who is knowledgeable in great in that sport, you want to be able to open it up and you want to be able to offer that sport the best leader that you can. So I'm grateful that New London was able to do that, and it definitely is a lot different than not having a teacher in the building. It's harder for sure to follow up and on those things for your athletes being there every day, making sure they're going to class, making sure they're passing their classes. But it takes, 10% of my time to do that anyway. I still do. I still reach out to their teachers. I still care about their academic success. So though it takes me a little bit more time, it's still the same rules whether I was in there or not.
See, that's something too that dovetails into part of our prior conversation with the kids moving up to the next level. They have to get it in the classroom. If they're not doing it there, the schools just aren't going to look at them.
Correct. Yeah, and that's a big part.
You can be a star.
Yes.
And nobody's going to recruit you if you're
Right.
failing all your courses.
Right. You can be as good as you want to be, but failure academically, it just isn't an option. So we did deal with a little bit of that and fear of losing a couple of athletes to academics, and it was just a strict turnaround. Like, have an expectation of yourself that you want to succeed first, basketball secondary.
Well, I think, and I have found that if the expectations are high, and you work with the kids, I mean,
Yes.
they can meet it.
Yes, right.
However, if the expectations are low, they'll meet that too.
Exactly. Yeah, beautifully said. Yes, absolutely.
So you don't start at the bottom. Let's start up here.
Yes, yeah. Here's what I expect of you, just as a young woman, as a young athlete, contributing to your community eventually. And those 4 years of high school go faster than the girls think. So
That's one thing I used to smile with Coach Chop Parker, is that with his teams, I mean, his expectations of his teams were state titles.
yes,
Not conference championships.
Yep.
State titles.
yep,
Anything less than a state title didn't quite measure up that year.
yes,
So he started at the top.
Yes.
And for the most part, they achieved a high level of success
yes,
and didn't have very many poor seasons.
right.
But you can't go in with a defeatist attitude because you'll lose.
Right, yes, right. Before you even walk in the door, absolutely.
So it's been a lot of fun. Is there anything that we haven't really touched on that you were hoping that I would draw out of you here in our remaining few moments here that you'd like to share with the masses?
I don't think so. Just I'm grateful how I was embraced into the community. I was grateful for their support, and to bring New London a conference championship for now, and kind of work on that long game of getting us another state title is my goal. So stick with me and keep going.
Well, again, you need players. I mean, New London,
Yeah.
the girls program the last, I'm going to say roughly 8 to 10 years has had some really fine players, and they've
Yes.
had some good squads, and they've won a couple of state titles
have.
and been in state title games.
Yep.
So the measuring stick is high.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So you have your challenge to meet that goal.
I do.
And but just based on this conversation, that I think that you're on the right track, and
Thank you.
looking forward to being a bit more diligent and getting the chance to see your squad next season. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'll be the guy up there in the corner there. But Miss Campbell, was a neighbor of mine when she was a very, very young girl.
Okay, yeah.
She babysat my kids when they were small.
Oh, sweet. Yep. Yep.
And her mother is a classmate of mine.
Wonderful. Wow. Wow. All the connections.
And her father was an All-American at Notre Dame.
Okay.
And played end and played briefly for the New York Giants.
Wow. A lot of athletic history.
Yeah.
So then her daughter is very good basketball player. So that all makes sense. It's
How
all in the
about that?
genes. Yeah. There you go.
Well, listen, I want to thank you for carving out an hour, and
Absolutely.
hopefully we can get you back in from time to time. You can bring us up to speed on what's going on.
I'd
and,
love to.
And it's been a terrific program. You've been a good guest, and thank you.
Of course.
Folks, you've been watching City Focus, and I've had the head girls basketball coach at New England High School, Keyokah Mars-Garrick, and she's been terrific. And if you see her out in the community, give her a welcome and say, keep up the good work. And with that, we'll say good night. We'll see you next week on City Focus.